Hi, this is Maria Sanchez with KADYTV.com, and we are broadcasting live from the United States Navy Seabee Museum. And I have Laura Godby with me. She's the director of the museum, and Laura is hosting, along with other folks involved with the Seabee Museum, an open house that's happening that we're broadcasting live from. So Laura, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And will you share with us what the public can expect, because I understand that while you're open, you're not formally open.
Correct. The Seabee Museum is an old museum. We've been here since 1947, but we have this new facility that has just finished, and we're offering open houses until we can actually open our grand opening in the fall of 2011. So prior to then, on the first and third Tuesday of every month and the first Saturday of every month, we're going to offer open houses for people to come in, kind of get a sneak peek behind the scenes of what we offer in the museum and see what's changing as we move exhibits in and move in our collections.
So the other museum is still open, as it's always been?
No.
No?
Actually, the old museum closed on September 30th. Reason being, we had to pack up our collections and start moving them over here.
Oh, okay. So if people want to see what needs to be seen, they need to come to this brand new facility. Today you were open to the general public?
Today was our first open house day. We actually got building occupancy yesterday, so it's amazing that we had our first visitors here. We had about 250 people. We had 2 re-enlistments, so the facility is actually being used by the Navy.
Isn't that great? That's a good news story. Perfect for KADYTV.com. We're all about good news, which is one of the reasons we're here, and thank you for allowing us to be here and participate. Now, what will our viewers hope to see with this brand new museum?
Well, right now, we really just have a brand new facility, and it's an amazing facility. It's very state-of-the-art. It has an homage to the Quonset hut with a metal roof, that kind of thing. In terms of exhibits inside the museum, right now we have a World War II D7 Caterpillar bulldozer. We have a relatively current op Humvee, and we have a fabulous fountain in our memorial garden that has a Seabee dozer blade.
Now, I would imagine that you are still in the fundraising throes, or not?
Well, actually, the museum is owned and operated by the Navy. However, we're financially supported by the CEC-CB Historical Foundation, which is a nonprofit 501c3. They raised all the money for this facility, which was about a $12.7 million facility. They gifted that money to the Navy. Navy then hired RQ Construction out of Carlsbad, California, to do the construction, and now the foundation is continuing a fundraising effort to fund the exhibits.
And behind us is the blueprint for the museum.
Correct.
And where are we? You are here.
Are here.
Okay.
Right here is the entrance. You can see right behind me is a ginormous lobby reception area desk. This right here is the Grand Hall. This will be where we really focus on the Seabee heroes. We'll have, for example, an exhibit on Marvin Shields, who is the only Congressional Medal of Honor winner, Seabee Medal of Honor winner. And then the South Gallery is primarily World War II. It focuses on the origins of the Seabees, talking about training, how they were trained, how they fulfilled the strategy of World War II, and kind of what they did. And then when you cross over to the North Gallery, it's the post-World War II era.
So we'll take, and not with your time, but we'll take a little view visually now after we conclude our conversation so folks can see what it looks like in its infancy, if you will. And then who have you invited for tonight's VIP gathering?
A variety of different people. The foundation has invited most of their local big donors, and we also have all the base folks coming.
And anything else that you'd like a website to drive folks to?
We have a couple of websites. The Navy's website is www.usnavycbmuseum.com. You can also become a fan of the museum on Facebook at facebook.com/cbmuseum. And the Seabee Historical Foundation's website is cbhf for historicalfoundation.org.
And anything else you'd like to offer?
Come visit us. We're open. We're here for people to see. Ultimately, we're going to be a great community asset. Unlike the old museum, we have space where we can have events. We have an education room. One of the really neat things that we're going to be able to offer is, as a history museum, we're going to try to integrate in more of the standards of learning, but because we're also involved with the Civil Engineer Corps, which is the officer corps that administers and manages the Seabees, we're going to have a lot of exhibits, hands-on interactives for kids about civil engineering design principles.
And Laura Godby, the director here at the United States Naval Seabee Museum, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And again, behind us is the blueprint for the U.S. Navy Seabee Museum, Naval Base Ventura County, Port Hueneme, broadcasting live. Maria Sanchez for KADYTV.com. Maria Sanchez, again, broadcasting live from the United States Navy Seabee Museum. The grand opening is this evening, and we're going to be here covering it. And Laura Godby, who is the director here at the museum, just explained and showed us the blueprints about the museum. Now we're in the museum store, so you can see from the camera the various things that are being offered for sale. And if you want to just go over a few of the items, and then we'll specifically end up with the bricks.
The museum store offers a variety of Seabee merchandise. As you can see, they offer t-shirts, different kind of mugs, dishware, that type of thing. They now offer a great supply of children's material and something that's relatively new. And they have a lot of new designs that are coming out. And it's one of the things that when people visit a museum, they want to buy something to take home. And this is the spot.
Now let's talk about these bricks that are behind us and what that is and what the opportunity is.
Sure. In the entryway to our new museum, we have what we call the Road to Victory. And the Road to Victory is paved with memorial bricks that people have purchased and have engraved with either Seabees who have served, Seabees who have passed, or sometimes just somebody who's still with us that they want to commemorate. Those are for sale through the Seabee Historical Foundation. They're $125 each. And there's still more than enough room in our Road to Victory to add more names.
And just as an example, we'll show that one maybe. So John and Martha Wilson, thank you Seabees for what you do. How sweet is that? And how long have you been offering this to purchase, do you know?
Ooh, the bricks have been on sale for probably about 2-3 years now. This has been a long capital fundraising campaign. I mean, we've been working on this museum since 2002. I believe at last count the foundation had sold about 4,100 bricks. That's how many we have laid down right now. So we have room for more.
And can you also order items, do you have to come here physically or can you order them on a website too?
No, actually the store has a great new website. It's www.seabeemuseumstore.org.
Perfect.
You can buy everything online 24/7.
Excellent. So you have a virtual store and you have a brick and mortar store. Maria Sanchez broadcasting live from the United States Navy Seabee Museum in Port Hueneme. Hi, Maria Sanchez again, recording live with KADYTV.com at the United States Navy Seabee Museum. And I have Steve Thomas with me. Now, Steve is an icon in the county. First of all, Steve, welcome, and thank you for taking the time to allow us to be here. And why don't you share with our viewers what your relationship has been with the Seabees?
Well, Maria, 1966, I got stationed here at Port Hueneme as a young man from Arkansas. I came out as a heavy equipment operator for the Navy Seabees. I was stationed with MCB-4, Alpha Company. I spent a tour of duty in Vietnam for about 10 months and then returned to Port Hueneme and actually started selling cars in 1969 for Hal Watkins Chevrolet. And worked for Hal for about 11 years and just stuck around here and then got involved about 5 years ago with the Naval Historical Foundation. And got my good friend Dick Buckus to be our national spokesperson, and we've been very successful, as you see, in building and raising the money to build this. And it's really a legacy for the guys that served in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, all the conflicts that they've had, the wars they served in. And we are really excited about, and I know there's a lot of local guys that are still in the area that served in the Seabees, and I see them every day. I run into them sometimes, and guys that I was in Vietnam with are still in the area, and it's quite the legacy that we're building, that we built here, and we're hoping, and we're not done yet. We still have a little bit more ways to go to get the exhibits in and raise enough funds for that. And so for any of the viewers out there who want to come down and take a look at this beautiful building, we do have a little thing over here where you can throw some bucks in there and help us get the thing completed. About $5 million.
Now, Steve, you have been, you said, helping out raising money for 5 years.
Yes.
And part of that was with the golf tournament that you had Dick Butkus play at, correct?
Exactly right. We at Spanish Hills Country Club in Camarillo, we did a golf tournament called the Butkus, and we did it for 4 years. And we were successful in raising almost $750,000.
Wow.
And it was great support from our community. Businesses all over Ventura County helped us out. We had several celebrities that came up, and it was quite expensive, $5,000 a foursome. But you know, people, we were sold out every year.
Really?
And yeah, 4 years in a row, and we still get calls today to put another one on. So I know Mr. Butkus, we kind of wore him out, so I don't know if we can get him to do it again, but it would be a great event to do one or two more big ones anyway. And but the Navy means so much to Ventura County, the Seabees especially here, and they've done so much for Ventura County. I know they help on different type of emergencies, earthquakes and flooding and sort of thing. They always pitch in and help out the residents. So it's a good relationship we have with the Seabees, and again, I was part of the Seabees, so it really is special to me to see something like this get underway and get completed. And again, we're not quite done yet. We still have a little bit of work to do. So we would really, I tell you, it's just a great feeling to pull in here today and walk around and see what they've built and what we've done so far to build this and raise this money. It's awesome.
Now, I should explain that some of the noise that you're hearing is because the VIP party is going to begin shortly, and Steve was kind enough to invite us early before it got really busy, but that's what the general setup noise is all about. Steve, you have been an icon in the community, so we can thank the Seabees for bringing you here to Ventura County, right?
Yeah, that's it. They brought me here.
So lucky us in that regard, and thank you for your service to our country. But I want you to share this story that not a lot of people might know. I have a professional relationship with Steve with my radio program to help you promote the Dick Butkus golf tournament. But you donated a BMW to an event that was being held at Chumash that was like a slot tournament that you won. Yeah. Do you want to tell our viewers what happened at that event? The
event where we donated a BMW, I'm not sure about which one is that? I'm not sure.
I forget the charity, but the point that I was impressed by is one that you donated it, and then it was a slot tournament, I think. And your wife won.
Oh, that story. Actually, I did not donate that car, but they buy about 10 or 15 cars a year from us, and then they go up and it's a random draw for players. And it was the first time they had done BMWs, and it was the first BMW they gave, and they called my wife's name.
Can you imagine?
And it wasn't about 3 months later, my son-in-law, they called his name and he won one. So. But there was a little issue about whether we qualified as vendors to win that car. So so there would be no legal problems. The Chumash tribe was kind enough to give us cash in lieu of the car, and they kept the car for another week. So.
Okay. I just thought that people should know that story.
That was a true story.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that.
So Steve Thomas with Steve Thomas BMW, and an icon, as I should mention, in the community, and a volunteer extraordinaire. Thank you for giving back and giving so much. And it is Steve that has helped make KADYTV.com possible for being here and broadcasting live from the United States Navy Seabee Museum. Maria Sanchez reporting for KADYTV.com. Hi, Maria Sanchez reporting live with KADY-TV at the United States Navy Seabee Museum. And I have with me Bill Hildebrand. Bill is with the Seabee Historical Foundation.
Correct.
You are the president.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask you what that means, and then we're going to talk about this monstrosity behind us.
Okay. The Seabee Historical Foundation was set up about 15 years ago, and with the purpose of supporting the Seabee Museum. And we've done a number of things, but our latest effort has been raising the funds for this campaign. And so far we have raised and delivered to the Navy $12 million to get this building done. And this is a great day for us because we're here to celebrate the building being completed.
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw! And our next challenge now is we have a $9 million goal for the money to fund the exhibits and displays that will turn this building into a museum.
Now tell us, what is this that we're in front of?
This is a 1942 era D7 Caterpillar bulldozer, and it's going to be part of the exhibit on the war in the Pacific. 3 out of 4 Seabees went to the Pacific. That's where the need was the greatest. And many people don't realize that during World War II, We had 325,000 Seabees. That's almost as big as the entire Navy is today. And they were spread from one end of the Pacific to the other, building the bases and the runways, the ports, and everything else that were needed to win the war.
And why are you involved? What's your passion?
I served in the Navy for 28 years. I was a CEC officer, and I served with the Seabees. I ended my career down in Gulfport, Mississippi, where the other Seabee base is. I was the commanding officer of the Seabee base there. And while I was about to retire, I helped another gentleman set up and create the museum, the Seabee Historical Foundation, with the purpose of helping preserve the Seabee legacy. And it's been a labor of love ever since.
Now, how long have you been here in Ventura County?
I'm not here. I'm just here on a visit.
Oh, so you're on loan.
Well, the foundation's headquarters are in Gulfport.
I see.
And so I came out here for this occasion to see the building completed.
How terrific. Now, how often did you come while this was being constructed?
Well, during the actual construction, probably only came out here about every 2 months. But if you go back during the time we were raising the money and everything, again, I was out here every 6 to 8 weeks.
Well, we're thrilled to be here. Thank you for allowing us. And thank you for your service to our country.
Well, thank you very much.
And website direction?
Our website is www.seabeehf.org. And if you go there, one of the things on the website, you can, if you click on the image of the new museum, it'll take you to a section where you can press a button and you can get a virtual walkthrough of what the new museum is going to look like.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for that. Bill Hildebrand, he's the president of the foundation that's responsible for the big bucks. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Maria.
Appreciate it. Maria Sanchez at the Seabee Museum. It's the VIP grand opening this evening, and we're here prior to that. And I have with me Ed Aiken. Mr. Aiken, how is it that we're standing in front of this?
Well, I was asked by some of the people if I happen to have a certain tractor. I'm a sort of a tractor collector, and I said, yes, I do. And they told me what it was for, so I decided to donate it to the museum.
Now, are you a resident of the county?
No, I'm from Placerville, California.
And how is it that you collect tractors?
Well, that's a real long story. I've always been excited about tractors. My dad bought a new Caterpillar in 1940 when I was not quite 6 years old yet, which I still have, and that's got me started on, I think, collecting tractors. And then later on, when I retired, I had a low bed service at one time, and going around moving tractors, and it seemed like there was a lot out there, and people would give them to me at a minimum price, and I'd have to bring them home, of course. And this was one of them. So it sort of got out of hand, but I started collecting tractors.
Now, do you collect them as a hobby and a passion, or do you share that passion with others?
Oh yeah, we have shows from now and then, but mainly as a hobby, and I just like them.
And where do you store them?
I'm a farmer, born and raised on the ranch up there, and so we have lots of room to store them.
Well, that was kind and generous of you. And here, talk about an amazing piece of machinery. Did you have a little goodbye party?
No, we didn't have a goodbye party. It was just one of those things that was out back, and I decided, well, I'm not going to do anything with it, so it'd be a lot nicer here.
Oh, very sweet. Thank you for that. And thank you for taking the time. And it's great to meet you. A pleasure.
Thank you.
You're
Nice
welcome.
to be here.
Great, good. And we will continue our coverage at the Seabee Museum. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be right back. Hi, Maria Sanchez, continuing our live coverage of Navy base, let's start out all over again. United States Navy Seabee Museum debut VIP party. We have Captain McHugh with us. Commander McHugh, what do you prefer?
Captain McHugh.
Okay. Captain McHugh is with us. He visited with us. You were kind enough to take the time when the Dallas Cowboys were landing at the base. And we're here again to cover because this is such an historic event and it's so integral to the county. We couldn't miss it. And Steve Thomas helped make this possible for us to be here today, so we wanted to thank him too. And of course you.
Well, it's great. Well, thanks for being here. This is a museum that's been long in coming. The construction is complete. complete. It's going to take some time to fill it, but we figured that the building is open, it's built. We want to bring people in to take a look to see what they're going to see, what the building's going to look like when it comes in, and when they're able to see it when it's going to be filled. And in about I'd say it's about fall of 11 is once all the exhibits will be here. But it's a wonderful, wonderful facility.
Well, it's unbelievably beautiful, surreal, stunning, and I mean, any combination of words and experiences that you could describe. What does it mean to the Navy to have something like this here in the county?
Well, for this being so much rich history here for the CEC community and for Seabees, that having the museum here will just only make sense. I mean, this is going to be outside the base. It's going to be outside the gate, so you don't have to get a base pass to get on. So we're hoping it to be a destination for people, because it's the only Seabee museum in the United States Navy. So and it's right here at Naval Base Montoya County.
Oh, that's even more awesome. I didn't know that.
Yes.
The only one.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, is it not true too that the public can now play on the golf course as well?
Yes. Yeah. They've been able to do that for at least a whole year and a half or so I've been here.
Okay.
And I think before that too. So, but they still have to get a golf pass and all that. But there's a process to get through that.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, just welcome the folks to come out and then take a look at this. It's going to be open to the public 3 days a week. 3 days a month. And Tuesdays and Thursdays, don't quote me exactly on the time frame. You'll get,
sure.
Yeah, she'll share that with you. But come and walk around, see what it's going to look like, and we're real excited to have it here.
Thank you so much,
Great,
Captain
thank
McHugh.
you.
Really appreciate your time, as always. Thank you for your service to our country, too.
Thanks a lot.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you. Maria Sanchez, continuing our coverage live from the United States Naval Seabee Museum. And see, if I slow down, I can actually say it properly. And I am here with an esteemed guest and his daughter. And the reason that we're here, we have Clarence Hammond here with us. Welcome, and thank you for visiting KADYTV.com. And your daughter, Carol, and I'll let you say your last name, Carol.
Gerard.
And I understand you are a World War II veteran, Seabee, and that you built something in Hawaii.
Yes, we built the John Rogers Airfield. It's just on the island of Oahu, and it is now the Honolulu International Airport. After the war was over with, I think within 3 months they turned it over to Honolulu. And it is an exceptional airport. It had 4 8,000-foot runways. And the rest of the land, I believe it was the largest airport in the world when we finished and walked off.
Now, how long were you stationed there?
We were there 14 months, and all of those 14 months except 1 month to build our barracks when we got there. And so the rest of it then was spent on John Rogers.
So were you, what months were those, or what year was that? Do you recall?
43 to 44.
Yeah. That was-
43 to 45. 14 months they...
It was 44 to the middle of 45, and then we shipped out. And that airport was really designed to accommodate the B-29 bombers. They were being built in the United States, and they would fly out there and land on John Rogers. The crew would sleep overnight, and the ground crew would work on the airplane. So next morning, before the sun heated the air, the crews would come out. They had early breakfast, and the ground crews, of course, had gassed up the airplanes and put meals in it and everything. And they took off right at dawn. The sun was just barely coming up. And they flew all the way to Tinian.
Now, I didn't realize this about the CBs, but you would arrive places and then have to build your own housing, and then you could actually get involved with what you came to do. I mean, that's amazing. It's like, wow, here, go there. Oh, yeah, but first you need to build that place where you're going to sleep, and then you can get to business.
Well, a few days in the tents didn't hurt us until we got our barracks built.
Now, tell me, why did you join the Navy?
I was working for the Army Corps of Engineers. I was stationed in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I was a draftsman designer. I designed a German prisoner of war camp at Camp Robinson, and the Walnut Ridge fighter plane training base, and the Blytheville, Arkansas B-29 base. So now, I went to I thought I would get a field commission, but no, they weren't handing out field commissions because the Corps of Engineers took the attitude, we're asking other people, everybody, to give up their men. We're not going to keep ours. So I went over to the Seabees, and they took me in, even though I was only 27 years old. Rules were you were supposed to be 30. But since I had that background from the Army Corps of Engineers, they made a chief petty officer out of me. In addition to that, I had worked for the old Civil Aeronautics Authority, laying out landing strips around colleges. The government had, in 1939, had already passed a law that any college that would teach the 30 hours for a pilot license and they didn't have a landing strip, the government would build them one. So I laid out the landing strips for Tarkio College, Missouri, and Rolla, Missouri.
Now, may I ask, what do you claim is the success of your life, your health, your longevity, your mind?
Why I'm here, 94 years old and still thumping around? Well, I'm a self-taught engineer. I went through the International Correspondence School course, but while I was in St. Louis working for Emerson Electric Company, I went to Washington University at night school and got my math background. And then when the war was over and I finally got home, I went back and finished the international course in civil engineering. The Army Corps of Engineers rated me then as a civil engineer. And then I took the state of Arkansas engineer license test, and I passed that. Then I was eligible to work on civilian work, and I did.
So you moonlighted.
Yeah.
So did you retire ever, or did you continue to work?
I retired when I was 79.
Oh my.
I worked 33 years for the Army Corps of Engineers. I worked in private engineering company designing hospitals. I was doing structural design on hospitals in Maryland and Virginia. And then I transferred to the Virginia Highway Department designing bridges until I got 79 years old.
And now you're 94 years young.
My father's too modest to say it, but 10 years ago, at the age of 84, he was named the Outstanding Engineer of Tucson, Arizona. He's a life member of the American Society of Civil Engineers. And he was named that out of the 400 active engineers of Tucson because of his volunteer work for schools as an engineer.
And one other thing that before we close, why don't you share with us what this is?
Again, I think my dad is too modest to say this, but as a member of the American Society of Engineers, we've met another young engineer who is a naval reserve officer who have, of course, been called back to Iraq twice,
Say hello
and
to
his
him.
third time to Afghanistan. He is Lieutenant Ray Montoya, an outstanding engineer. And when he was Officer of the Day at the dedication of the latest Seabee base built on this planet, which is Al-Assad in Iraq, Lieutenant Montoya had the flag raised in my father's honor. And then when he came back from Afghanistan, I'm happy to say hail and whole, at the American Society of Engineers meeting, they presented my father that flag in the triangular box, and Lieutenant Montoya said, from one Seabee to another. So the Seabees are the youngest service. They only happened in World War II, but they're just as involved today. They're in the fight, and they're on the front lines today in Iraq and Afghanistan, and God bless them.
Well, thank you for that. It was lovely for you to be able to brag because you are way too modest. And thank you for your service to our country, and thank you for taking the time to visit with us at kdtv.com.
Thank you, Maria.
Maria Sanchez continuing our live coverage at the United States Navy Seabee Museum, grand opening. It's the VIP reception, and we are privileged to have so many men that served and sacrificed as well as their families for us. And this conversation is no exception to that. Some of these men met 40 years ago in Vietnam, and some of them have just met today, so we're going to hear their stories now. And may I get your name fully?
My name is Master Chief SCW Don Turner, and SCW means Seabee Combat Warfare Qualified.
And you served?
Oh my goodness, about 40 years worth. I started way back in about 1955 and got out in 1995.
Oh my gosh. And you were in Vietnam, you said?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you do there?
First time I was up on High Vaughn Pass where they shot at you every day. And I was baptized under fire my first day in Vietnam, and I said to this Master Chief, Johnny McCulley, I said, does this go on every day? And he said, yeah, once on this side and once on the other side. So that was twice a day. I learned that quickly. And then the gentleman to my right, we met in Can Tho, Vietnam, the following year. We were both on special Seabee teams, and we were at a airport, the folks that got us up to Saigon, and as the planes left the area, why, I seen this guy in greens over there in the far room, and I said, gee, he looks familiar to me. Didn't know the man from anybody, and so I started walking towards him, and he started walking towards me, and we got about 6 steps from each other, and I said, I know where you're going. And he looked at me and he said, I know where you're going too. And as it turned out, we were both going to a AOIC CBT meetup at Saigon. So we met 40 years ago in Vietnam.
And that was in 1960 then?
That was
Or
1970.
Look at my math.
1970.
1970.
Yes.
And were you both from the area?
Well, I was at Kowloon and he was up at Chow Duck.
for a while, and then I went down to a place they call the Rung Sat Special Zone. So you want to look in your history books and find out what was down there, let me tell you.
Now, how did you guys know each other? Have you known each other ever since the 40 years?
We served together off and on, I don't know how many times. And then I retired in 95, and we've seen each other at different times. We're in the same organization. So when we look at each other, we still got a little bit of hair left anyway.
Well, and now I would like you to introduce yourself, please.
I'm Senior Chief Timothy Buckley, SCW, And Don and I go back a long ways. Don was an equipment operator, operations chief for Alpha Company, and I was the engineering chief. So I laid out the projects, and he built them. So we built roads in Diego Garcia and in Guam, and you name it. Road to Spain, we've been all over. So it was a great life, you know. In Vietnam, I came off a survey ship because they had to make charts for the swift boats and whatnot. So I walked all over Vietnam, surveying points and bringing them down to the waterfront so they could use their electronic gear. And then 2 tours there, and then I went on a Seabee team, and that's where I met Don. And like I say, I was in Chow Duck, and then went down to the Rungsat zone. But we were in NMCB 3 and 40 and a few others in some places all over the world, building for peace throughout the world. And I noticed you said you visited the Vietnam Wall, and I wish everybody could visit that wall. I don't want to get choked up, but it does. I have friends on there, so pass it on to Jim.
Thank you for your service. And we were here, the Vietnam Traveling Wall visited Ventura County for the first time in, I believe it was 13 years, and we were there at Ivy Lawn Memorial. We were there for the opening ceremonies, candlelight ceremonies, and then for the closing ceremonies as well. And your name, sir?
I'm James Parker, retired Master Chief, Seabee Combat Warfare qualified, and I, in those days, were with Mobile Construction Battalion 128, 1967, 8, and 9, in Da Nang and Quang Tri, Vietnam. I was with Alpha Company, which is the equipment handling and maintenance company. My responsibilities were for obtaining the necessary repair parts to keep everything going. And I traveled a great deal around, and we borrowed and exchanged and bartered for all kinds of material.
And now, are the three of you Ventura County residents?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in 128. Jim, we were passing through. He was in 128. We survived Hurricane Camille down there on the Gulf Coast.
Wow.
Yeah. As a Seabee organization, we're small enough that we cross paths many times over the 30 or 40 years of our careers.
Thank you. And sir?
I'm Chuck Howe. I'm retired as a captain, Civil Engineer Corps, and I was in Vietnam in 68 and 69 on the 3rd Brigade staff. We had 12 wonderful Seabee battalions working in Vietnam. They rotated in 8 months in and 6 months back at home, and then they came back again. And they were such wonderful construction people and such wonderful guys. And our job was basically to give them enough material so that they could do the job that they needed to do around the various places, and to give them minimal direction because they didn't need direction. They have a wonderful bunch of Seabees out there. A great experience.
And thank you.
Yeah.
And last but not least, finally.
I'm John Ives. I'm a retired Rear Admiral, Civil Engineer Corps. I've served with the Seabees 2 different times. I was XO of MCB 3 right here in Port Hueneme. A couple of the Master Chiefs there recognize that name. And we deployed to Vietnam and also to Okinawa. And then in my very last tour, I was Commander Construction Battalions Pacific, so all the construction battalions in the Pacific were working for me at that time. That was a real thrill. I got to log lots of miles across the Pacific, chasing my Seabees all the way from Diego Garcia to Yap and Palau and all kinds of garden spots like that.
Well, we are broadcasting live from the grand opening of the Seabee Museum here in Port Hueneme, and we heard from Captain McHugh, the only one in the Navy in the world. So it's quite a historic event, and we thank you so much for watching. We'll continue our coverage on KADYTV.com.
Yes, sir. And it slid in.
Hallelujah, baby.
And I was just as proud as I could be. Well, it got down about 6 feet. And then it stopped. Uh-oh. And Admiral Dillon happened to drive up there and he said, well, Chief, he said, how you doing? I said, well, Admiral, we're doing pretty good, except we got a little spot here. I'm not really sure what it is. we may have to get a diver, get in there and see what's happening. And he said, I could jump in there and feel my way down if it's all right with you. And he said, no, we'll get you a diver over here. So they went and got a diver and brought the diver over. He, scooped it up, and he went down about 6 foot into the water. It started like this. And we missed it by this far down at the bottom, because what had happened, that first pile went straight in, but then it veered. And when the last one went in, instead of veering to match it, it went straight down. So this is what it looked like down there. So I said, he said, well, Chief, what do you want to do? I said, well, Admiral, I said, there's a couple of things we can do, because I really know what I'm doing now. So. I said, we've got them big steel pipes, them 4-inch pipes. I said, if we make us a ring and put it down where the top of the sand is right now, we will force it down, and then when it starts pulling away from it, we can weld it in place. Will it work? Oh, I said, yes, sir. Everything works, you know. Yeah, right. Do I know? Yes, sir. He said, well, go ahead and get it done. So Johnny McCulley, I don't know if you remember him.
Oh, sure.
He was quite colorful.
Oh, yes.
And he said, he said, you're going to get this done, but when are you going to get it done? Well, I said, as soon as I get done welding it. And so, unbeknownst to me, and I'm about dumb as a rock, but I knew everything. Because I wasn't about to let him know that I didn't know what I knew. No, I knew everything, see. Well, no, he did. But. So we started welding, and then we just hit it at spots. Clear around about that much, all the way around this thing. And he says, is that going to work? I said, yes, sir. So then we commenced with a clamshell to clam it out. And we got down to the bottom. Admiral, he comes over there every day, you know. He said, well, Chief, how's things going? I said, well, sir, we're just about ready to bottom out. We're about ready to get our gravel, because you had to bring it back up in gravel so that the water would seep. He said, where's your gravel at, Chief? Well, I said, gravel. I believe they're going to bring it in from Monkey Mountain. Is it around here somewhere? I said, well, no, sir. What are you going to do for gravel? We had a whole bunch of piling material over there off to the side. And I said, well, Admiral, or Skipper, I said, we can make our own gravel. He said, you can. I said, oh, yes, sir. He said, what can you do? I said, I got a front end loader, and I got this pile. It's got gravel in it. I'm going to lift the bucket up, and I'm going to open up the jaws and just let it drizzle out, and the wind's going to whip out the fines. And at the bottom, I'm going to have gravel. If it's not gravelly enough, I'll do it one more time. Well, Admiral said, let's go, Chief. So he goes over there. I said, I said, okay, we practice this, now do it. Wind whipping across there, you know, lifted his bucket up there and just let it dribble out. And the fines are just blowing off to the south, you know, they're building up. And the gravel's right there, and Admiral walked up and he said, Chief, I like your style. All right. Now we're
The main reason I wanted to say something to you is, one, to thank you. All of you are here in one way or another participated in the completion of this beautiful, beautiful building. And I think you probably have been through it, that probably would agree that it turned out bigger. And the possibilities it presents to us are just incredible. And hopefully you've had a chance to, did they see the DVD that we've done, Bill?
Not yet.
Not yet? Is it going to be shown tonight?
We don't have a vehicle for doing it.
We don't, okay. Well, at some point, let me tell you about the DVD. Today, the reason I'm a little late, today I was in San Diego having lunch with 1,000 other people in the Construction Managers Association of America, people from the construction industry across the board throughout the country. And I was able to show them, for the first time in a public session like that, a DVD that shows this building fully completed, but it also is a walkthrough of the exhibits that we will hope to have, at least a portion of them, to have a grand opening next fall, and within a year or two after that, the entire building with the modern exhibits that will rival what the Marine Corps did on the East Coast. That's sort of our standard. Seabee shouldn't be treated any less than the United States Marine Corps. So The DVD drew a standing ovation. It drew, at least I hope, the first indication of some further support from that group. But what made me feel so good was to know that I was going to come here tonight and meet so many of the people who were early donors and who are continued supporters of this facility. Met the mayor, the youngest mayor I've seen in quite a while, Fort Juanini, and glad to see you. And is our mayor from Oxnard here?
No.
Any Oxnard representative here?
It's a council meeting tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, I wanted to thank the mayor and also the city of Oxnard and the 4th District. I see your representative again. Good to see you. They have been political supporters and continue to be political supporters of this project because it means so much to the area. So with that, thanks for coming out. We welcome you to what will be many visits to this grand facility, and I appeal to your continuing support. It's a never-ending project and will never be. For so long as Laura is young, she will be here serving you and seeking your support as the years go by. Thank you for coming and enjoy yourself.
Maria Sanchez with KADYTV.com, continuing our live coverage of the United States Navy Seabee Museum, and we're here at the VIP gathering, and we have George Rogers, who is the CEO of RQ Construction. You were responsible for the construction of this amazing dwelling, what would we call edifice? How about that?
That's good. I'm the CEO, but I don't do the work. So we have a team of people that both did the design as well as the construction, and they did a great job. And our project manager, Brent, and Mike was the superintendent, and they just did a terrific job.
And how was it to get this contract? It must have been like intimidating in one regard because of the importance of it and the significance of it, not intimidating in the scary way, but knowing that this is quite the challenge and that the legacy that you're leaving here, not only for Ventura County, but for the Seabees themselves.
It probably wasn't intimidating because we didn't know how important it was when we first started. And it was a journey because it was originally conceptually designed, and they wanted us to finish that design, and a number of us on a competitive procurement could not get within the budget with their design. So they came back to us and said, can you redesign this yourselves and come up and design something within our budget? We did that, and they liked our design, and that was the genesis of picking RQ to do this project. That's when we found out that this was such an important project, but we're used to that, and so it just keeps us on our toes and to make sure that we deliver an outstanding project for our customer.
Now, I understand in my conversations with Brent that you do a lot of things with the government and the armed forces.
I would say almost exclusively our projects are for the Department of Defense, both the Navy as well as the Army Corps of Engineers and the Air Force.
And are you happy with the way things went and how it unfolded and the finished product?
We're delighted. Well, if our customer's delighted, we're delighted. We know that the facility is a wonderful facility. It's well built. There's no shortcuts. I'm sure Brent would change something, but I can't think of anything that we would change. Our subcontractors did a great job. We employed a lot of people here locally, and so I think it worked out well. We even made a profit, so it worked out well for everybody.
Nice to have that under your belt, right, as a CEO? Yes, it can't just be about service. It's got to be about profit, right?
Well, if you don't make a profit, you can't reinvest in the people and in the process. And so profits, it's not the goal, but it's necessary to make one.
Right. Thank you so much for your time, George, and congratulations. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thank you.
You're welcome. George Rogers, CEO with RQ Construction, Maria Sanchez, KADYTV.com.